On Linux, there's this cool thing that you may have heard of called crontab. And crontab lets you essentially execute some task, execute some program or script every some period of time. So what you can do is do something like, oh, execute this command every Sunday, or every month, maybe daily. Every Sunday, which is also the first of that month, and many more complex things like that. That is amazing by itself. However, at least for me, crontab has been having an issue. Imagine, I have this task set up to do every Sunday at 5 a.m. I set it to be 5 a.m. specifically so that it's guaranteed to have happened when I wake up at Sunday. My sleep schedule keeps changing all the time. Matter of fact, I just woke up at 3 a.m. and immediately streaming at 5 a.m. So yeah, I rotate my schedule a lot, but 5 a.m. seems to be consistently like, yeah, this can be considered the start of some day. But also, I don't always wake up at 5, I don't always wake up at any time, really. So what happens if some task set to be executed at 5 a.m., what if at that time my laptop was asleep or shut down? Well, then, guess what? The task doesn't get executed. Shit, right? Okay, well, I could change the 5 a.m. to some other time, except there's no consistency in when my laptop is going to be awake whatsoever. It could be asleep at any time. And recently what I've been doing is doing Pomodoro, but in a bit of a different way. I noticed that 25 minutes and 5 minutes, like 25 minutes of work followed by 5 minutes of rest, it actually stressed me out more than it helped me. It made me kind of rush when I'm working and be kind of incredibly bored when I'm resting. So what I do now is that I set a timer for 40 minutes of work. And with a period of that big, I don't really need to worry. I don't need to rush. 40 minutes is a long ass time. It's going to be a really good chunk. And now I am like very calm in that period again, which is great. And the thing about it is that I don't set a timer for how much I rest. Once 40 minutes finishes, I put my laptop to sleep and just rest for however feels right. I have a feeling more often than not it ends up being less than 5 minutes, but the main idea is to rest as much as I feel like I need to. So it's a variable time where I listen to myself, to listen to my body and my mind to get how much I need to rest rather than some specific time, which is bound to be wrong kinda every time, you know? So, in those periods, my laptop would be asleep if sleeping didn't break on EndeavourOS the last update. Yeah, like if I put my laptop to sleep now, since yesterday, it just won't. It will turn off the Wi-Fi connection. It will turn off the LEDs on my mouse and keyboard. But the screen won't actually turn off. Which is like, goddamn. I am starting to see the point that people make who use like Fedora, Debian, and so on after using Arch. I see their point, kinda. Things kinda keep breaking. I have like 3 or 4 things have broken for me for now. You shan't answer. There are cursed names. Yeah, I fucking hate Debian. Well, at least for now, what I get from Arch is so good that these breaks here and there are honestly worth it. So yeah, I can't put my laptop to sleep right now, but usually it would be asleep at any point of time, potentially missing some task. So cron tab I can't really use, not Debian? What do you mean? Then occurs names of what? The curse is in the title of the live stream. Oh my fucking god, you're a System G hater too? You're, oh my, Sast, what the fuck? Come on now. System D is bad because, it's bloated. Bro, you're bloated. I don't know, I feel like, wait, you hate the timers, why? What's wrong with them? They're great, except figuring out how to do them the first time took kinda some time. Fuck yeah, I made you break character. Well, yeah, you probably read the title of the live stream, and it would be really funny if I titled the live stream System D timers and just never mentioned them. That'd be really funny. But no, obviously, that's where I was going with cron tab. System D timers is basically a cron tab, but I imagine has more power that I haven't fully discovered. But the main thing about them is that you can set an option so that the tasks get executed post factum. So let's go back to that situation where I wanted the task to execute at 5 a.m. But then I wake up at something like 9 a.m. and I open my computer. At that time, that task will get executed. Even though it's not 5 a.m. anymore, it would execute like after, as soon as it can, basically. Once enmity is not upon System D, but the timers of it. I wonder why. I had issues with System D timers, but entirely skill issues. Not like on System D's side, I guess. So I wonder why. So yeah, now I have a couple of tasks set up to execute, and they do indeed execute as soon as they can, basically guaranteeing that they do indeed execute. So, cron tab takes like, I would say around 10 minutes to set up. System D timers I found like take a bit more effort. They're not difficult really, just kind of take some time. So I'm gonna try to keep in mind everything that you have to do to make them work, and explain them to you. Spend hours trying to get cron and System D to run tasks, I asked, but the user environment is so limited, it's so annoying. That's why I wrote that corn shell script to replace cron. Let me guess, you used system D timers, as in root timers, because that's an issue that I ran into as well. And thank you for bringing it up, because otherwise I might have forgotten. So, where do we go? We go to definition first. Definition is my fish script to basically set up all of my System D timers. User what? Huh. Well, they work for me. So, First things first, there are two places where you can set up systemd timers. The root place is, if I remember correctly, you'll have to Google it to be really sure, is /etc/systemd/system. Yeah. So this is the directory where you would place a service file and a timer file, and we'll come to them, don't worry. So this is the root place for system tasks. That is not what I recommend to use. I'm sure it has its uses, but I haven't run across those uses. So that is not the place that I recommend, but I do think it's important to know about it overall. I also tried root timers for root related stuff, but it later got added as an option in the distro, so I just removed it. Huh, okay. If you're wondering why I keep muting, it's because my dumbass starts streaming without talking prior. No practice, so my throat is congested incredibly. But I really wanted to stream right now because it's very, very early, so everyone at home is at least supposed to be crossing my fingers asleep, and they won't annoy me walking around. So it's the perfect time. So we have the root timers, systemd timers, and we also have user timers, which are in home.config.systemd/user. Boom. That path. Drink water, hydrate thyself. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. I wonder if you can hear the sound of me drinking water. I imagine you can. This mic is pretty damn good at recognizing specific sounds, and especially at the distance that it currently is. And why the distance changed, oh my god, don't you worry. I'll definitely talk about it because it's something very, very exciting for me. But I think how these streams tend to go, and I like how they do, is that in the start of the stream, I go over the subject matter that I wanted to talk about overall, and then I kind of do a more random thing, or maybe talking about things that are really exciting to me and all that stuff. I'm talking with chat because as stream goes, more people join, more people might start talking, that kind of thing. But for now, we'll go and talk about systemd timers. So this path is the user path, where you would put all your service files and timer files. Okay, what are service files and what are timer files? Essentially, to create a systemd timer, you need three things. Let's go to Saturday. This is the script, essentially the command that I actually want to execute. Nice topic. How about I derail it? Have you tried writing a website using a Rust framework? If no, in which other languages have you made one in the past? Truthfully, I do not care about websites. I never have, and unfortunately, it's like most of the programming jobs. So I'll probably have to learn it a bit. Well, I guess I've made a website using C# and ASP.NET. I made some JavaScript, HTML, CSS, very plain website. All practice though, I never really cared to actually make a website, you know? It's possible I might do it in Rust, who knows? This script is what will actually get executed. And I recommend this script because I'm not sure how easy it is to just pass it a command. And I don't recommend doing that anyway because of a reason that I'll talk about just a bit later. Essentially, create a script. Let's go to executables. Executables. Actually, LG. Make sure that your script has the X. That's not a very visible color. Let's use red. Make sure that your script has the X permission so that it can actually get executed. Very important, because otherwise nothing will work. And it's also very easy to miss, in my opinion. When I type dash, it's to make it known when flipping in character over. Oh, okay, I see. I thought you were like taking std in as if you're a Linux program. Lol. That's funny bug. Okay. Yeah, so reason why my scripts are green here is because they do need to have this X permission. How do we get an X permission? You do chmod, and that is exactly how you pronounce it, chmod, plus X, and then the path of your script. Once you do that, here you go. It now has the X permission. Cool, now you have a script that you can actually execute. Let's go to Saturday service. You create a file called saturday.service. Well, for me it's Saturday because this is a script that's meant to run every Saturday. To give some more context, on Spotify at Friday 5 p.m. I think new music appears in the release radar here. However, I don't remember when exactly. I say 5 p.m., but I might be wrong. I might be just straight up wrong. And then, what if I move? How will the time change? It's a lot of I don't knows, so I decided, I might as well just add it all tomorrow, like on the following day, so I don't have to even think about the time periods. So that's why Saturday. And I call my script Saturday because that's just the name that I decided to give it. Yeah, I think 5 p.m. So, good idea, but not necessary, to call the service file the same name as the script. So I also called it Saturday. Makes it like easy to string around that, oh, this service is for this script. But it's not actually necessary. You know, speak ISO 8601. I've heard of this, I'm guessing time encoding, but I don't know how it looks. God, I love waving. God damn. Even if I'm gonna die like 20 years earlier, shit, it's worth it. I mean, well, I don't recommend it. I'm not like advertising it, but fuck is it good, you know? So in this service file, what you do is basically this. That's all that really needs to be here. In exec start, you specify the path to that file. And by the way, you might think, oh, why didn't you do this to mean home? This doesn't work as far as I asked ChatGPT. It doesn't recognize the tilde as home, so you have to give the actual full path. Too late, I bought all those are available in my country. Holy shit. Oh my god. That is so entirely too much. I vape a lot. But even then, you know, I have 2 vapes, by the way. 2, like, small vapes made to be used with high nicotine liquids. And I vape, like, throughout the day. I wake up, guess the first thing that I do? I vape. I think I legit do that before drinking water, which is hilarious. And still, that is entirely too much. You have to think about it this way. There is a limited amount of time in a day where you breathe, or rather where you can control breathing, and that is the maximum time you can be vaping. Yeah, sure, whatever. I imagine you don't smoke or vape, so you don't know just how amazing it feels to vape, smoke, whatever else in the morning, because your body is like, I guess, cleaner somewhat. You haven't been vaping or smoking for around 8 hours, so it hits a bit more and feels like better. So that's why it's the actual priority, and then water. So we specify the full path to the script, very important. And we go to Saturday timer. This is where you will actually define the time and date where it will be executed. So essentially you just copy all this, and the only time that you need to change is this, the actual definition of the time. Here I basically say execute on Saturdays at 5 a.m. The format is, first of all, an optional weekday. Then let me try to remember. Yeah, okay, so this is day, this is month, and this is, I imagine, year. I'm pretty sure this is the case, but Google to make sure, you know, as always. Then this is hour, minute, second. Yeah, like it can be as precise as seconds, which is really cool. Like, oh, execute at 5 a.m. and fucking 34 seconds, you know? My health is so bad, I literally cough when near up to 15 meters. Oh wow, someone vaping. That stuff is called imperceivable by everyone else I know. Oh wow, Jesus. Yeah, that's very sensitive. You probably shouldn't vape then. Or, the obviously much better idea, start vaping so you can train yourself, train your body to be okay with it. Or rather, like, ignore it. I'm obviously joking, but, like, I find it really funny to have that as a legit idea. Because I feel like if I was in your position, it would be a legit idea, a very stupid one that would appear in my mind. Like, what if I train myself, like, train my body to be used to bad health, essentially? It's so ridiculous. That should be ISO 8601, if I remember correctly. When you look at that. By the way, I imagine you know, what does the capital T stand for there? Cause, didn't think I was gonna mention it here. Sure, let's put it here. Actually, here. This is the format. Yeah. This is the format that I won't even explain. Basically, this is a format that's used somewhere that I might mention in the future. And it has just the letter T, the capital letter T in the middle as a separator, instead of something like a dash, underscore, dot, anything else. Like, what's up with the capital T? And that T doesn't actually mean something, so you can see percent Y, right? Percent M, and so on and so forth. Like, all of them mean something, like, oh, this is the year, this is the month, etc. Or I think, no, this is the minute. No, like, the T is a literal T. The letter T. It doesn't evaluate into some time thing. It's so weird. The T is just a separator, like and Right, but why a letter? Who the fuck thought that using a letter as a separator would be a good idea instead of like any other character, you know? It's strange. So, imagine you built your timestamp, and now what you're gonna do next is essentially set everything up and set it to start working, and then guess what? Hope that it works. You'd probably want to make sure that at least the time is correct. Because if it isn't, the task won't work, and it might not be noticeable too. So you might as well somehow check that this like time string is actually formatted correctly. And systemd provides us a way of doing that. Blah 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 calendar, because I don't actually remember the name. Yeah, systemd analyze calendar, and here you can specify your timestamp. What this will do is, well, analyze that kind of time definition. Let's press enter, and you can see that it says to us, oh, next elapse, so next time it'll be executed is on this. Saturday is closer than I thought. And basically 2 days left until it happens, essentially confirming that, yeah, this timestamp is correct. But if you do something like this, oh, I didn't know that it also worked. Can I do something like, so see here, I specified a timestamp that doesn't work. And it will tell you that. So by using systemd-analyze calendar, you can make sure that the timestamp you came up with actually works. So make sure to use it. It is very helpful because you're removing a pretty big part of the possible wrong thing out of the list of possible failures. Because because dash underscore colon early taken semicolon equals, that would be confusing, are unsymmetrical, can be hard to read, and that is non-standard. I feel like star would go well. The pound symbol works too. Tilde is the only reasonable option that can be confused for approximation. Yeah, I agree. And plus, it is so recognized in shell things as home. So just putting it somewhere, using it somewhere, I'd probably avoid. I think the pound symbol would go hard, honestly. It's like a big symbol that's really easy to recognize, and it splits the date and time into. Pound is also too British, the French would get mad, and I don't have it on my keyboard. I might be able to enter it anyway. Let me try to remember how I do that. I think it's L. This? Yeah, here we go. I can enter it, but it's like, usually people can't, you know? So using characters like that would be just incredibly annoying. Yeah, I think the pound symbol would go hard. Maybe not ampersand, because once again, it's used to mean things. So I'd prefer to not, I guess. The at symbol isn't bad also. That'd be confused for factorial. Yeah, I wouldn't go with exclamation mark either. For real. Where were we? Yeah, so here we go. You confirmed that the time is correct. And by the way, here, this timer is set to execute specifically on Saturdays, but what if you wanted to execute some script like every 5th of the month, as in February 5th and then March 5th and so on and so forth. A very important thing that you might not come across is that if you specify Saturday here, then what this means is execute on the 5th of every month if it is also a Saturday. So let's go and check that. Yeah, see, like that's a long ass time. That's not like around a month later, like here, you know, not the next month, because the 5th of the next month is not a Saturday, so it will wait 8 months, essentially meaning it will only execute on Saturdays, which are also the 5th of the month, which is really cool behavior to be able to have, but can be confusing because you might think that, oh, I have to specify this, and maybe you omit the weekday because you think that you still have to specify it somehow, right? Fuck. But no, then it is invalid. So essentially, if you want to mean on the 5th of every month, we don't care about the weekday. You just don't specify the weekday whatsoever. And here we go. Now it works as expected. So yeah, that's a slip up that I came across. So I wanted to mention it so you won't have that issue. For what it's worth, like the format of content that I do nowadays, it is so long since it is a stream, and it's meant to be this kind of chill, like experience that you just kind of watch on the side, or maybe while eating, something of that nature, rather than a straight up tutorial. Like, if say you wanted to learn about systemd timers, you search for them on YouTube and you find this VOD, and you want to use this VOD as a tutorial, it's probably not the best video for it. Because I guess the intent is that we chill around and you also get to learn about systemd timers, rather than a short, concise video that will tell about everything in a manner that kind of respects your time. Here, the mutual expectation is that we have time and the systemd timers isn't the most important thing. It's not a timely manner. We're just kind of chilling here, you know? I find this distinction interesting because, like, content in different ways for different purposes. The week is for the week. Best ways to just count the days since the birth of Bob Ross. For what it's worth, I'm sure it's like some timestamp that exists that's maybe even used somewhere. Alright then, so we have the 3 files that we need to have: timer, that defines, oh, I forgot to actually mention this. Make sure to have persistent is true. This is the magic that lets the script execute post factum, even if it was missed. And I imagine if you don't want that behavior, use cron tab, you know? Don't fuck around with systemd timers. They kind of take more effort. Because it's like 3 files instead of 1, where 1 would be just a script. Here you have to define the service and timer, it's just kind of more. So if you don't want this behavior, probably just use cron tab. Or I imagine delete this, but I don't even know if that's necessarily the case, so don't trust me on that. Yeah, so you have the timer that defines when, you have the service that defines what, and you have the script that defines what to do. What do you do now? As in my definition, what I do, I create symlinks here because it's convenient, but truthfully, you just move the service and the timer into this directory. And to make sure that they are linked, because you can see neither in timer nor in service, we mentioned the other file, you should name the service file and the timer file the same way. See, they're both called Saturday. If you don't, you'll probably have to specify it in some option, either in service or in timer, I don't know. So it's just easier to name them the same exact way. Most of the world bases their dates on the birth of a random son of a woodworker 200 plus years ago, and they tell me I can't use the release date of Dark Souls 1 to define a new calendar system. Yeah, for real. Was Jesus the son of a woodworker? I never know. Or rather, I've never known. This is the Lord drop, for real. Fucking spoiler of the Bible. Matter of fact, let's do this. It's kind of pretty. Okay, so you name them the same way and you move them to this directory. Then you execute this command that will reload systemd to start recognizing those files. The new Saturday service and Saturday timer. Can't believe I spoiled the tag's occupation, my bad. Boom. Then you actually enable, you enable and start the timer specifically. You do nothing with the service, you just enable and start the timer, and the timer then will call the service and start executing the service, which will start executing the script. You know? Should catch up though, that book has been out for a while. They made a bunch of editions. It's literally me with Breaking Bad. Believe it or not, I still haven't finished Breaking Bad, and I doubt I ever will. I loved Breaking Bad though, that's the thing. And I did finish Better Call Saul. I also loved it. But I haven't fucking finished Breaking Bad. Like, I barely ever finish anything. I haven't even started. Well, I guess, yeah, same. I don't think I've ever read the Bible. At least in any, like, considerable fashion. I wonder how loud you can hear my laptop, like, revving up the processor, you know? but I think I've seen it, a third of it via YouTube Shorts. Bro, how? You have the Bible in your YouTube Shorts recommended? That's crazy. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, same then. I keep like seeing videos where this scene from Breaking Bad or from Better Call Saul, I keep rewatching them because they're so fucking good. Especially the Mike scenes in Better Call Saul. The take my gun from me scene is really fucking good. Cool, you enabled and started the timer. Congratulations, and now works. Supposedly. One thing that made it not work for me, let's first of all set it to this. And let's yeah, let's actually execute this command. Imagine a situation where I'm actually building the command that I want to execute every Saturday, and I'm testing it out. I'm like, okay, let's run this. Okay, it works correctly. That's good. And so, more specifically, that's not actually what I did. I had detach here. The difference here is that the previous command, this one, it still held the thread of this terminal, but when I do detach, it doesn't. Like, I can continue using my terminal here as normal, even though I have this terminal running here. I detached it. So it works here normally, but it didn't actually work in the systemd timer. The reason why is because the service starts running and starts executing the script, and that service will continue existing as long as the script is running. It will continue being active. So it executes this command, detaches the kiddie terminal in my case, and now it is not like tied to the service. So because of that, it executed the entire script, and now the service is dead. That's the status, I think? Status something. Okay, this is a different timer and service, but the idea is the same. We can look at it, and in the active thingy, it tells us that it is inactive or dead. Don't worry, that's normal. This basically just means that the service exited. So, executes the entire script, exits, and would you look at that, because this terminal window has no process, because this terminal window is not holding up the thread, but yet it is also not fully detached, as I've come to find out. What ended up happening for me is that this window got created and got immediately closed because the service that was handling it died, basically, stopped, exited. So I never saw this window. I still got moved to the correct desktop because I have a window rule for this type of terminal. But I didn't see the window because of how fast it opened up and closed itself. So, in other words, what you have to do is make sure that whatever you execute here holds up the thread for as long as it needs to exist. The Bible is more like 90%. YouTube Shorts is full of Bible AI readings. What is your YouTube recommended? That's crazy. Sadly, they keep omitting the Old Testament where all the cool murder and massacre is. Okay. So what I'm doing here right now, I removed the detach thing. Let's actually execute this command again so you can see more clearly what happens. It opens the terminal window all the same, except it is now holding up the thread. My next shell prompt isn't coming up because it still is waiting for this window to exit. Let's close it, come back, and boom, new prompt, essentially meaning that like it ended. Makes sense, right? So we are holding up the thread like that, like this more specifically, right? The issue with that is that, say I have some other command like chlorange, what? Okay, yeah, sure. Saturdays increment. Like I want to count all the Saturdays that have ever happened since I created the systemd file. Very like stretched out example, but bear with me. The issue with this is that this command and everything after this command will not execute until we essentially close the window that would be here. It's going to be waiting for this window to close and then execute all the other commands. That's not that big of a deal because, like, well, first of all, you can just put all the commands before, all the commands that don't hold up the thread, or at least for long, and then put this, like, long command that holds up the thread last. That's what you can do. However, what if you wanted to create multiple of them, right? And instead of new music, it says holiday woohoo, right? The behavior that I expect here is that on Saturday, I open up my laptop and I get moved to this desktop to see two kitty windows, one of them saying new music and the other one saying holiday woohoo, right? But this won't happen. Only the first one, the first window will be there. It's going to be waiting until I close it, and then this window will appear. Well, shit, what if there are like a bunch of them? It's probably not going to be what you start with for sure, but it might grow to this where on Saturday you want to see multiple different things that all hold up the thread. And currently the behavior is you will see one at a time, which might not be what you want. Because the main idea of this, like what even is this kitty window? Why am I doing it? By the way, hold up is not a command that you will have. I just want to point that out. This is not a command that you can just use to test things out for yourself. I should have probably mentioned it sooner. Yeah, the idea of this is that it is basically a notification that stays permanently until I deal with it. So I get this thing saying new music. And essentially I'm like, oh, okay, I need to add new music from the release radar to my discovery playlist. And once I have done that, I can close the window to basically mark it as done. Well, there are some tasks that I might want to do prior or after, and that order is unknown. It's just a feels thing. So long story short, this is not viable, really. long-term not viable. So what you do is execute this command in the background and use wait. What this ends up doing is that now clone blah blah blah, you know, whatever. This gets executed, but now it is not holding up the thread. It immediately goes to this command. But still, the service won't close preemptively. It will still wait for this window to be closed. In other words, it will wait for every process that belongs to this script. And when you run a command in the background, it is still attached to the same process. And what wait does is that it waits for all the attached processes to finish. So this way, you can have as many of these as you want. They will all appear at once as windows, and yet they will not be immediately closed, like was my issue with dash dash detached. What do you mean holeup is not a command? It's a Rust binary. It's a process that sleeps indefinitely. Fuck yeah, you know your shit. I'm saying that holeup is not a command that you will have, because this is a program that I wrote, which is specifically an infinite loop, which can also, if you want to, print some text before it infinitely loops. If you're interested why in the living hell that would ever be useful, well, first of all, I'm already giving you a very clear example. This is a notification system. But the initial idea of it was, boom, we get this window, let's tile it. And now I can type something in. And then I can, first of all, untile it, move it somewhere, resize it. Boom. Can barely fucking see it because the same background. Boom. And now yeah, essentially I can use it as some text to hover over my screen. I can quickly type something in and have it be on my screen, tiled or not. So yeah, if you want to read about it, let me give you a link. Let's go to holeup and GHL. Here you go. It's very stupid, but it's funny that it's actually useful. So if for some odd fucking reason you also want this specific functionality, you'll have to cargo install holeup. Yes, indeed, I have it like published on Crates.io. Yes, an infinite loop published on Crates.io. Not even sure why I went through the trouble. I'll be fucking flabbergasted if anyone finds it actually useful. It is incredibly fucking useful to me, but like, you know, it's not as something that you would expect to be useful. Yeah. I think this is all like for the setup, all that's needed. You move the service and the timer, which are named the same, into home.config systemd user. Then you reload systemd and you start that timer. You enable it and start it. And here you go. I mentioned that even though you probably can specify like just a program here, something like, I guess this, straight up. First of all, I don't even know if you can specify arguments here, or maybe you have to escape the spaces, or maybe this needs to happen. But see, I don't know, and this takes kind of time to figure out for not very good of a reason. Because if you were to change the exec start here, you would also need to restart the timer. So we have enable and start. We can also have restart. Pretty sure you would have to restart the timer to make it update the service. But before you would do that, you would also need to run this command to reload systemd. So you reload systemd and then restart the timer, I think is what you need to do. Well, reloading the systemd is definitely what you would need to do, but you would also maybe need to restart the timer. That I'm not sure about. So that's what you would need to do anytime you change the service file or the timer file. But if you just specify a path to a script and then make changes in the script, now you don't need to reload systemd or restart the timer or anything else. You don't need to reload anything, really. You just changed the inside of the script and that's okay. It like updated properly. Because the service just calls the script and then the script does whatever it needs to do. So what you get to do here is that you just change the script to apply your changes and you're kind of done. You can easily say like, oh, echo, boom. That's it. I don't need to go to the terminal to execute some fucking demonic systemctl command. I don't. Like, that's entirely it, which wouldn't be the case if you tried to do it all in service. You get me? Now, for the timer, which you may possibly actually need to change, and it is here in the timestamp. Maybe some time after you realize that 5 a.m. is not the correct time, or maybe I want to change the Saturday service and timer into a Sunday service and timer, or whatever else, right? Then, if you change this timestamp to apply it, you once again reload systemd and restart the timer, is what you would have to do. Yeah. Okay, I think at this point, this is everything about systemd timers that you need to know. And while we're at, let me show you my monthly timer. Boom. And I have a daily one too. Oh yeah, I think I wanted to talk about this as well. Yeah, let's talk about this. So I have a daily systemd timer. Let's do daily timer. That's how you define it. You don't specify anything except the time, so every 5 a.m. is basically what this means, meaning daily. And I execute two fish functions here, so let's immediately go to those. I think it's in timers. Yes, they are. So these are hyper specific to me. They're not really written or designed in a way to make them like easy to use to you, I guess. You would have to do some changing to make them work. Basically what I want to do here is just show off the idea itself. Let's go to the info and codef anniversaries. Wait, hold up. Does it have anything? Yeah, it does have things personal, but none of those that I really wouldn't show you, I guess. So here I have the anniversaries file, and the way that it is defined is first of all the timestamp with the year, so year, month, day, long dash, because I think it looks good, and some text that defines what happened on that day. And here I have a function called yearParse because it has years in there. Let's actually immediately codef singular, right? Trying to also remember if it has any. I think it's good. Yeah. Wait, no. That's not it. Incorrect file. Yearly. Yeah, yearly. I mean, it's technically personal, but I don't think it really gives you much. Basically, I don't think I care. So here, I don't specify the year because, I mean, currently all of these events are birthdays, but they may be anything else, like on the 07, that is May, 09, we have a Russian celebration that I hate, that celebrates war that happened like 80 years ago or something. It's a whole political fucking thing, don't worry about it. Essentially, blah blah blah. Not a birthday. This file is for specifying events that happen every year that I want to be reminded of. And this file is for events that happened in some specific date that I still want to be reminded of. So I want to be reminded that, like on the 24th of September, I want to be reminded of that this is the day where you started using Vim. 2 years ago. Or in 2025 would it be 3 years ago, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And what both of these use is that same kitty window to output text to me. Essentially doing the same thing, but a bit different. Like parsing the years or not parsing the years, because those are different files. Yeah. The difference being that with anniversaries here, I would also get the amount of years ago that it happened as well. So how do I do this? Using some regex. So I read the file anniversaries, split it by new lines, boom, I get a for loop of lines. Then I regex the year, the date, and the text. Cool. The first group is the year, then date, then the description, the text. Okay. If that specified date is not today, we do nothing. But if it is, then first let's calculate the amount of years ago. Now let's display this kitty window saying blank years ago, and then the text description, the what happened. And see here, it uses an ampersand to start that kitty terminal in the background. And because of this, I may have multiple kitty windows here that all open at the same time, and the service dies or closes once all of them are closed. Then a similar thing for yearly, except we do nothing with the year. We'll also split by lines, also do rejects, but now we don't match the year because it's not there. Just match the date and the same thing. If it is not today, do nothing, but if it is today, give us the description of what happened, or what's the yearly celebration that I want to be reminded of. Shouldn't it also disown the task? Nope. If it disowned the task, then the dash dash detach issue would happen again. Because it would not be holding up the thread, and therefore the service will close immediately, also closing the terminal window with itself. It shouldn't, by all accounts, because I would expect, like, it got disowned, so why is it owned by the services process still? But that's how it works for some reason. It's not how it usually works on Linux, I think. It's kind of weird, I do recognize it. And usually when you start running some command in the background, you don't actually see it. It just starts doing its thing in the background. You don't get to interact with it. You have to bring it into the foreground first to do that. But that's also not the case here, for some another odd reason. So yeah, I don't know why. It's pretty weird. But oh well. Boom. And in daily.fish, my daily systemd timer, I check, is there an anniversary today? And if so, display all of them in separate kitty windows. They'll tell me like things. Like, oh, you've been trans for a year or something. And same thing with yearly, for like yearly celebrations. This is actually like so big for me because it's not difficult for me to remember birthdays. I usually can remember them pretty easily. The issue then happens when I just don't notice today's date. I can go a full day without ever knowing what like what weekday it is or what day it is. I might just never notice and then miss a birthday that I would have otherwise remembered just because I didn't look at the date. Like 2 days ago was the birthday of my ex-stepdad, which I know is a very strange familial relation. And the thing is, I only remembered about it because I even noticed that it was the 15th of January. Otherwise, I could have just not looked and wouldn't have noticed. But now, I am guaranteed to be reminded of things that I want to be reminded of. I open up my computer, boom, it's the birthday of this person. I'm like, oh wow, that's very good to know. So, I absolutely love it. Yesterday, I got something amazing. I mentioned that my microphone is on a different distance right now than it was before. That is because I got a new table. I got a new shelf and a new table. I have actually posted a video review, I guess, on it, like about it on Mastodon. There's a link to my Mastodon in the description of the stream. And every video. You can find it like anywhere. And holy shit, it is so good. I used to use a kitchen table, which is like essentially, let me draw my previous table. So here's the main thing, the main like table, and it has two retractable tabletops that you can kind of make into this kind of big table. That's great, right? Yeah, except the way that these are held up is by using, I'm not sure how, what are these called? Legs, yeah, table legs here. You can see how it's inconvenient to sit here, for example, because if you wanted to put your legs here, you can't. You can't because there is a table leg here. So what you end up having to do is either sit here, where you can indeed fit your legs here. That works. However, then the length of the table is very not enough. I would only have enough space for like my keyboard, mouse, all that stuff. Boom, that's it. I don't really have more space to actually use for other things that I might want to have, like putting speakers on the side, basically having more stuff on my table. I don't have that option, which is why, oops, this, yeah, which is why what I did is I set the table horizontally to my black, I think is this, to my wall here, and I sat like this. What about the table legs, you might say? Well, I moved them like this. Making this whole thing very unstable. Like, I could very easily tremble my entire table by some light touches. It was working well enough, but especially on this side, if there was some more pressure, it would like jumble around. It would be very noticeable. And what I got in return is this space that I can also use, but still, that's kind of not enough. And it's also inconvenient to sit here. Still, even though my legs don't touch the table legs, it's still inconvenient because sure, I get this space, but I don't get any space here. So it's still not enough. In other words, it was really shitty. But now, the current table is kind of like this. Actually, hold up. Like this, interestingly. And I am sitting like this. Now I have space. I have space here, I have space here. To use for anything really. Sadly, I need to take my leave. Oh, I thought that dash meant that you. Oh, I see. I see. I get it. Have a great day too. Yeah. So now I have more space to use on both sides. And this is so big because, first of all, I love writing. I love writing on paper with a pen, believe it or not. Despite being a programmer, it feels so good. It feels so incredibly good. And prior, I just didn't have enough space to be able to do that. But now I do. Now I have all this space to the side of me, and I guess I could use this space as well to do anything else. Then I have this space for my speakers, and my microphone is coming from the side like this. And because of this cutout, what ends up happening is that my mic is not like, it's not in a position that's annoying to me, I guess. It's not in a position where I have to remove it every once in a while. Like what I used to do is put my mic to the side because it was kind of annoying me, using up space that I would otherwise want to use. That is no longer the case, at least as much. It's in a convenient position where it can stay here permanently, in a good position for me to be able to use it at any time without repositioning it, which is amazing. And now the cream of the entire situation is that now I have this shelf that I recently bought as well, where my laptop is elevated. What I used to have, and I'm not sure if I ever shown it off kind of like publicly from my channel, I don't think I have, but how it used to work before. I had a mirror standing on top of my speakers, and on that mirror was my laptop. So my speakers were essentially like here, they were under, but even closer to each other because I can only do so. Yeah. And on a mirror, on a table that's very unstable. So the sound was kind of shit. The mirror didn't look good whatsoever. As in, the laptop was on the side of the mirror that wasn't actually the mirror, so on the back side. So it looked kind of ass. And it was really shitty. Now, with this shelf, I was able to put my speakers to the side correctly, so they would create more volume of sound. Volume as in A cubed plus B cubed plus C cubed. Like this kind of volume rather than strength of sound, you know? And I set them like this. I went ahead to play some music to try out the new position of speakers. It was so good I cried. It was so incredibly good. Like the difference was immeasurable. Because the extra bad thing about it is that that mirror was immediately on top of the speakers, so the usual vertical space they would have to express sound into wasn't there. They were like constricted and way too close to each other, which is no longer the case. They're on sides pretty far from each other, so I get way more volume of sound and way more quality of sound. It is amazing. while still I have my laptop elevated because I bought a shelf specifically for that purpose. And thanks to the bigger table, which is actually, like, the table overall is way smaller, but the usable space is way bigger. It's very interesting. Yeah. And then now I don't use the wrist rest for my keyboard anymore because let me show you where my keyboard is, more or less. So there's a cutout here in the table, and this is where my keyboard is. Yes, so it slightly hovers above. Yeah, slightly hovers above, period. So I don't have anywhere to rest my hands on anymore. I just kind of hover over the keyboard, which is actually how you're supposed to use a keyboard anyway. Permanently having your wrists on a wrist rest is actually an anti-pattern. What you're supposed to do is rest your hands on it when you're not using the keyboard, when you're not typing, but when you are typing, you raise your wrists to hover over the keyboard. That's how you're supposed to use the keyboard, if you didn't know. I didn't know that until some point. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos about, like, working space ergonomics, because of course I fucking did. Because, like, this, if you can read it. Let's actually move to some, yeah, here. So it's like a bit easier to read or view my amazing drawing. So I don't have a place to rest my hands when I'm not typing, but because of this cutout, I can actually more conveniently just put my hands on my lap. Like, boom, 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 I'm typing something, and I just put my hands on me to rest them, and that's it. It's a bit weird right now because I'm so used to the wrist rest, but I'm sure I'll get used to it. And eventually that will also improve my typing speed, I think. Because I will be forced to type in the correct way, ergonomically. Yeah, and thanks to this shelf, and actually a cutout here in the table, a way smaller cutout, where all the cables can go, so that the table is right up to the wall, but has place to put cords in. Very convenient. So yeah, now the wires game is way cleaner than it was before, and way easier to set up too, somehow. The other day I put this new shelf on the old table because it came earlier. It was like so much more effort to set it up than on this new table for some odd reason. Yeah, so I'm super happy about this new table. It is so much nicer to use and be around. I absolutely love it. And now, what I wanted to do on the last stream is show you the track, and this is actually the track that made me cry because it was so damn good with the new speaker configuration. This is the one that I wanted to give y'all to listen to, because apparently that's now a section in my stream. Ah yes, I've been having this track on repeat now. Yeah. So, new table. Actually, new keyboard. I'm not sure if I actually mentioned it. Oh, yeah. That was like a whole section in the last stream. So new keyboard, new shelf, new table. Basically whole new setup. And it's so lovely. Thanks for watching, everyone.